Hey guys, Tim here, Spec Technologies. It is April 7th, 2020. We're all going through this coronavirus pandemic and just trying to figure out how to get things done. So what we're going to do here today, we're going to do a equipment training on an 18-foot hydraulic rig, 3-phase generator, gas compressor, 3-phase machine. We've also added data tracking to this so we could track incoming pressures, incoming temperatures, outgoing temperatures and pressures, strokes, material usage, and temperature, dew point, humidity. All that's being tracked in that little box just to the left of the machine. Looks like it has a white screen, but it's not on yet, just a reflection. So we have a Gusmer GH2 H2035 2000 PSI. I think it's 28 pounds a minute and runs up to 310 feet of hose. This is our hose here that we assemble here in our shop in Georgia, Sonoy, Georgia. And we're going to get down to this thing. This has not been primed yet. It only has the drum pumps in here. If you saw any of the other videos, the last one we did just hydraulic oil and an A25, which is pneumatic operated. And a lot of the procedures are the same. I'm probably just going to take some of the gun video from the pneumatic rig and add it to this rig. And we'll get this going in just a few minutes. Be right back. So I'll save you some of the drama here. We're going to go ahead and fire up this compressor. We're going to get some air in it. It has no air in it right now. This is a 35 CFM gas compressor, Honda. I think it's close to a 13 horsepower. Here is your fuel and your choke, shut on, turn on and shut off. Your key you'll see there in the middle. And battery for starting it, electric start. Don't forget to change the oil in this thing every now and then, guys. The manual will come with it. It will tell you how often to do that. On-off valve supplies air to the back of the trailer. And a big old compressor head here. This thing has a super fast recovery. Wood Industries actually builds this for the spray foam industry. Again, we're going to go to this Winco 3-phase generator. And you notice here, this is our 5-door version of this spray foam trailer. We have 4 doors here on the front, and of course a side door on the back passenger side. We actually, when we get these, we fire these up. We check the voltage and the hertz of the generator, and then we put this lid back on here. Don't forget, guys, check the oil. Here's your on-off key. Fuel tank sits right up there. Should be able to reach that with a standard fuel pump. Breaker for the generator and an hour meter. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put some air in this compressor and we'll be right back. All right, guys, there we go. We are up at about 180 PSI. And we're going to come over here, make sure our valve is open. And this is the first time we've run this thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop this gently. Just make sure that we don't have any blowouts, any sizable leaks that we have to deal with. Normally this will be running, the compressor will be running, your generator will be running. We're just going to prime this thing out and get these drum pumps filled up. So what we have your drum pumps here, and you're going to see there's a regulator. We're going to put air on these. I like to run these about 12 o'clock straight up, and we'll get to that in just a second. Drum pumps will pick up material, sends the material all the way to the back of the machine. And we have the shutoff valve here, so that's the closed position. Of course, when it's parallel with the pipe, it is in the open position. So that's closed. We're going to come to the other side, the B side. You'll see that's open there. We're going to go ahead and close it. And what we're doing, once this is done, you don't have to do this again. This system has no fluid in it. But we just want to pressure test in sections. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and get these drum pumps running, send material to the machine, and then we'll run material through the machine into the hose, and then we'll bleed the hose off. So the compressor up front has 180 psi. We're going to go ahead and set this regulator for about 100 psi. And then we're going to set these at about 12 o'clock straight up. That looks to me like it's maybe 50 psi. And these are 3-to-1 pumps. So if I give this 50 pounds of air, I will get 150 psi of fluid pressure coming out of here to supply the machine. You'll see on this machine as well, the GH2, H2035, we have incoming temperatures and we have incoming pressures. We are monitoring those, getting that data, and sending it back to this data tracker. And we'll get that thing fired up as well. That's the inside of the machine. Probably won't spend a lot of time down in there. We'll go over these controls. Here's your bleed off valves and or circulation valves. So some guys like to circulate material through the heaters and then recirculate material back to the drums. This little 3/8 line here, if you follow it, goes all the way back to the drum pump and puts material back in the drum when you open that valve over there. This hole for this, where it returns to the drum, is right up underneath inside this lid. It's right up underneath there. So if you have this in a 5-gallon bucket and you go to recirculate, you're going to spray stuff all over the place. So make sure that you're in the drum. The other thing I can tell you about drums and drum pumps, when you open up the A side is moisture sensitive. If you refer back to the gun training, we talked about that. We wipe these threads out and then we grease it before we put the drum pump in there. I was told, and it's my understanding, that isocyanate is the #1 ingredient in Loctite. So everything that you do with the A side, not so much the B side, but the A side, everything you do with the A side, grease it. You can never have too much grease. You don't want to be out here with a pipe wrench trying to get this thing off of here. So this sleeve opens up here and you can actually lift the drum pump out. We also grease the fitting where it goes down inside of this sleeve. So just grease it, grease it, grease it. I've not really had any problems with these pumps. These are the T3s, just a great pump. And we'll go ahead and get this thing bled out. I'm going to get my trusty assistant out here to help me. And we'll get moving on this. Hang on, guys. The first thing we want to make sure of is that we have 100 psi, anywhere between 80 to 100 psi up here. All this air is running is your gun and the drum pumps. Once that's set, you probably never have to touch it again. So now we have 170 psi up front, 180 psi up front. We're set at about 100 right here. We're going to come into the air dryer. Air is distributed. Again, it looks like gun, B side, A side. Jacob and Brett did a very nice job in this trailer. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to hook up our air lines to our drum pumps. We have 100 psi of air on these lines now. And we're going to set that regulator straight up at noon. And again, once these are set, you're not going to have to mess with them much. We're watching for leaks, checking for leaks, make sure everything's good. Come to the back of the machine. No leaks, everything looks good. We'll go ahead and we'll do the A side, same exact thing. And these gauges, you're going to see them jump a little bit when we start pumping them. They'll bounce around. And again, if we watch the once we get pressure on here, all right, we're going to check the machine, make sure we don't have any leaks. Everything looks good. And we don't have any pressure up front here yet because our valves are still closed. So if I just wanted to pump just the A side, I would open this A valve and leave the B valve closed. And what that's going to do is that's independently going to let this pump material, and that pump's going to be starved of material. So if we ever tell you to circulate your A side or circulate your B side, you have to shut off the opposing side. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and open this valve now. We're going to open it slowly. All right, you're going to hear it fill up the machine. Drum pumps pumping. Kind of violent the first time through. We also want to make sure that our block on the end of the hose is closed. So Jacob's got the nut driver. We'll go down here to the gun block. We covered this on the video. Okay, those are closed. What we're doing is we're compressing material in there, and we're also compressing air. So when we go to open that gun block, you're going to hear air come out of that valve when we open it in a bucket. We normally do this with hydraulic oil. Today we're going live. We are hot, putting actual material in here. Now you see our pressures. I said we've got 3 to 1 roughly. Are we still up at noon on these gauges?
Just below it.
All right, just below 12 o'clock on our pump gauges. Should give us close to 150 psi on this gauge right here, which it's doing. We have temperature up top, pressure. Let's go around to the B side. We're going to open this up, make sure we don't have any leaks. Okay, good. Nothing shooting out there. Got about 100 psi there. Let's see what our drum pumps look like. This is what they look like when they're pumping. You see the pump pumping up and down. What I'm going to tell you here, and you'll notice this when we open up in the bucket, at about 70 degrees, the B side is about 3 times thicker than the A side. Every 10 degrees below 70, this viscosity almost doubles. So on average, this is about 1,000 centipoise, let's say, and that's about 350. If we get down to 60 degrees, that can go up to about 2,000 centipoise, and that only goes up a little bit. So if you think of this like Coca-Cola over here on the red drum, the A side, and pancake syrup on the B side, when you put both of those products in a refrigerator, what happens to the pancake syrup? It gets considerably thicker than the Coca-Cola does. The Coca-Cola just gets cold. They both get the same temperature, but their viscosities are different. They will never cross. You can never heat this resin thin enough to get it to be close to the ISO. So right out of the gate, we're dealing with 2 different viscosities, which we can address that with the preheaters in the machine. We can also address that with maybe putting heat bands at the bottom, or power blankets, or heating your trailer. Some guys opt to put a AC heater up top, a regular RV AC heater, and during the winter they can keep 2-3 sets in here ready for whatever jobs they have to do. So we're going to go ahead and get a bucket, and we're going to bleed these hoses out. Like I said, you're going to hear a lot of air coming out first, and then we'll get some product out of there. We'll do a little comparison so you can see the viscosity difference. You'll be able to tell right out of the end of the hose into the bucket. You'll be able to see the difference. I do need to watch my air up front. I'm trying to keep all of the engines off so you guys can hear me. This is a 3-phase rig, so I will have to run the generator. but I'll try to do that sparingly. Okay, we'll go ahead and set up to bleed this hose out. Be right back, guys. All right, guys, we're back. We're going to go ahead and bleed this block off now. We already bled the air out of it. A little bit of air in there now. Like I said, once we bleed this out, you're probably never going to have air back in these lines. So there's your A side. Jacob will go ahead and open the B side as well. We'll be able to see a viscosity difference once the B product gets down here. You can go ahead and shut the A off for a minute until the B shows up. Shut the A off. Let's see if we got some B. That B pump's not even pumping. Let's go take a look at it. Let's go make sure this valve is open. Come over here. This valve is open. We have pressure here. That pump's not budging. Let's see if we can figure out why. B-side viscosity that heavy? I might need to fire up the machine here, guys, get this thing to pump for us. So let me put some power on it and we'll get this machine to budge a little bit. And we'll be right back. We're going to go ahead and fire up the generator because this pump is just creeping, crawling. We are at 75 degrees coming into the machine. So let me see if bumping this machine opens up the check valve. Go ahead and we got power here. Come up here, turn our machine on, turn our dryer on, we can turn the lights on. Machine has power. You're going to see our data tracking come alive. Turn on the power control. Turn on the motor. Turn on the pump. No problem. Go ahead and do this. I'm going to shut this valve off. Go ahead and bleed this pressure off. Fire this back up. There we go. I see what's going on. Okay, we have this on. That right there. Now it's moving again. Pressure up a little bit. It's moving, just not in a hurry. Alright, we're pretty well primed out. We're going to go ahead and pressure this thing up equally. And we'll get this thing going. Alright, so we bled the spray foam lines out all the way down to the bucket. We've got A material in, we've got B material in. I went ahead and opened these up, got us back down to 0. Okay? Make sure that both of your valves are open on each side. We're going to go ahead and fire up the machine. Hit the power control. Our main power's on. Going to hit the power control. The machine's going to light up. Going to go through its cycle. Okay, we need to look at our temperatures. So these are ambient temperatures right now. We're 69, 70 degrees in the trailer. Our hose is sitting outside in the heat where the thermocoupler is, sitting out back. So it's picking up the temperature outdoors. What I want to do is I want to check my temperature, hold that down, click that one time. That's going to tell us our target temperature. So we're going to go to 125, scroll back through it. Okay, same thing here. We want to set these off for 125 to get started. Scroll back through. Yep, I think I just blew past it. Yep. Here we go, same thing here. Go up to 125. A side. Scroll back through. Okay. First thing you want to do when you get power is fire up your hose heat. And you'll see this start climbing 1 or 2 degrees a minute. Your B heat and your A heat, you don't want to turn that on right away because the heat rods kick up to about 600 plus degrees, and if you let those just keep running, you'll caramelize material on those heat rods. So we leave these off until we're just about ready to spray. We're going to let this hose heat up a little bit and we'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back. Hose has been heating up. We're 119. Remember our target was 125. That target's 125. That target's 125. We've got our data tracking up here running. These are our total counts for the entire day. This is our use count. If we, let's say, want to know how much we use in the living room, we can keep a data log of that. We have drum temperatures. We have drum pressures. We have high pressure, spray pressure. We have what's left in the drums, high pressure temperature, hose temperature, ambient temperature, what it is outside, relative humidity, and dew point. We go back to the logs. We have a pressure graph. All of this gets uploaded to a thumb drive. Put the thumb drive in the side, right back here. You can have temperatures, all data logged, all downloads on an Excel spreadsheet. You have levels in your drums, which you have left. So we start out with 0 U's. These are brand new drums. And you can set whatever amount you want in there. So let's say we use 20 gallons out of this side. It's going to leave us 22. It's going to leave us 33 gallons left. Keeps track of that. Right now we've used 0. And this is just a guide. It's not down to the last pint. You have your date in here. You can put your customer name by touching this, job name, address, whatever you want to put in there. And we're going to go ahead and start spraying. So what's happened, we started out with 0 and the hose heated up, and that expansion of the material plus the blowing agent that's in the closed cell foam has created that back pressure. So that's gas trying to get out of this line. This side over here is heated up, has come up just because of the expansion of the material. You notice here our hose is clicking on and off about 48 amps. It's just maintaining temperature. It's slowly creeping up to the 125. Our pump's not on yet. We're going to go ahead and bleed these off. I've got Jacob back here putting this gun on. We do the plastic bag trick here, keep the gun clean. The first little bit of oil, first little bit of foam is going to have some hydraulic oil in it from the manufacturing process. So the foam's not going to look real good, but we'll get it purged out and we'll have some good looking 2-pound foam in a minute. So just review here. I've got 90 pounds here, compressors running up front. Got about 170, 180 PSI worth of material, worth of air. Okay, so we're 90 PSI here, 90 to 100. Our air dryer's on. Hose heat is on. We're at 12 o'clock here, 12 o'clock there. Everything looks good. Jacob's going to go ahead and put the gun on. I think he's already done that. And we'll spray into this box and purge some of this material out. So let's come on over here and turn these heats back on. Let's see where these are. 125, okay. Flip these heats on. Heat on. Heat on. Watch how fast these come up. They shoot right up. And what's happening is this heat temperature sensor right here is sitting right against the heat rod. And it's reading actually the temperature of the heat rod. You can hear the generator up there pumping away, compressors pumping away. Stroke counter here is on 0. I'm going to go ahead and fire the motor up. Okay, we're going to bleed these off. I'll bleed these off in a second. Alright, I bled these off to 0. We're going to go ahead and turn this hydraulic pump up. Turn the pump on, okay. Pump on. Pressure's going to come up. Pressure's going to come up. Back here, turn this up a little more. Alright, we're about 750. Turn that up a little more. We're at about 1300 PSI. Hose heat. Preheaters, like I said, they're going to be high because the sensor's hitting right up against the rod. Turn my pressure monitor off for right now. We're good. Everything looks good. I'll come out here and visit with Jacob. So he's going to open the valves with the nut driver. What we like to do is open those and shut them really quick, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then we open them. Like I said, this foam's not going to look real good when we first start spraying it, but it'll clear up shortly. Alright, we're live. He's turning the safety off on the gun. Safety is disengaged. First little shot is not going to look good, guys, but it'll look better in a little bit. Getting all the oil out of it. See how it's all bubbly and stringy looking? That's just the oil coming out of it. All bubbly, looks all cratery, Swiss cheese looking. We're going to watch our pressures. See our pressures up there. B side is going to be naturally higher because it has blowing agent in it, 1, and 2, the viscosity of the B side is much thicker. Everything's running good. I might go give that a little bit more pressure in a minute. Come up here and look at this. Jump up in here. Jacob's still purging it. Pressures look good. Looks good. Alright guys, so we just ran out of gas. So we're going to put some gas in here and we'll be right back. Alright, so we ran out of gas. We've now put gas back in the generator. The machine defaulted and shut itself off, which is fine. So we have power here. Get that power control. Motor's still on. Heaters are still on. We'll get an amperage reading on this thing. Freshen this thing up in a minute and continue spraying. Alright, we're back up to temperature. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put the pump back on. The pump's going to pump. We're going to come up to pressure. That's okay for right now. It's okay. Jacob's going to go ahead and spray. If I needed to relieve pressure, I could do a little bit here if I wanted to. I could just pump that, but I don't think it's worth it. Let's just go ahead and we're going to spray with it. Still looks oily, not good looking foam yet. It's a little better. Let me get upwind. See all the pinholes in it? We still got pinholes. It's cleaning up a little bit. It takes a few minutes. Everything looks good here. Coming right along. Pressures look good on the machine. Temperatures look good. I can see it all from the back of the trailer. Still at 12 o'clock. Still at 12 o'clock. You can see how the B side is a lot higher on those analog gauges. And our data tracking should be doing its job. We're at 35 strokes. 35 strokes. Everything looks good. Drum pumps are pumping. Not a ramp, barn doors. Here we go, we're getting some good looking foam now. There you go guys, got a skin on it. That oily look's going away. That's good. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and start shutting this thing down. We'll show you how we do a cleaning on this gun in just a minute. So Jacob's done spraying. He's gonna go ahead and put his safety back on. And he's gonna shut his valves. Now there's one more thing we have to do, guys. Most important thing. We have to park the machine. So I'm gonna go set this thing in the park position, and we have to relieve pressure. So Jacob's gonna leave those valves open, leave them open. We're gonna trigger this. All right, so we're gonna relieve pressure by spraying with the gun, but I gotta come up here. We're done for the day, let's say. Turn everything off, okay? We're gonna put the pump in the park position. And what that does is gonna take these pumps and push it all the way that way, all the way to the ISO side. So it takes the rod that's in the ISO, and it puts the rod back into the fluid where it needs to be so it doesn't get crystals on it. So we put that in the park position, okay? We got pressure on the machine, and Jacob's gonna go ahead and spray, all right? And this is gonna come back and park. All right, it just came all the way over. I'm gonna show that to you again. We're gonna go back to pump. Okay, we're back to pump. The pump moved. I'm gonna put it in park, and Jacob's gonna squeeze the trigger. There it goes. So it's in park. We've used up our pressure. We're in park. All of our heaters are off. I can turn the motor off, and I can turn the machine off, and everything will power down. That's parking the machine. The other way to do it, if I wanted to, if I'd already taken the gun off the block, is I could turn the pressure up here a little bit, put that in the park position, turn the pressure up. That fakes the machine. It makes the machine think it needs more pressure, and it goes to the park position, and it stays there as long as you're in the park position. Okay? Everything looks good, no leaks. Everything's good. We're going to take the gun off, and we're going to show you how to do a quick cleaning on it on the bench. The other way you can park this is put it in park, click it in the park position, and if you have high pressure on here, you can go ahead and bleed these off a little bit, which is going to make that piston go to the left, and it's going to park that A pump. The other thing I want to tell you, when you're packing up, you can shut these valves if you'd like to, but what I like to do is pull these air lines off of here, because if you spring a leak somewhere in the system, it's just going to run out until you run out of air or you run out of material. So I usually pull those air lines off of there just as a safety precaution.